Quorum, so
I was looking at
we
it.
can't
Right.
start.
I think, do we appoint each member?
With you, HR has a quorum.
I think Anna is my appointment. Yeah, she's my appointment.
I'm not sure. I think we're waiting to see which committee we get a quorum for first.
Yeah, Mr. Sass is coming.
Oh, wow, that's my, yeah, I didn't know.
It's 20th.
He'll be the, yeah.
You do this one
Yeah,
today?
yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. It is 5:03, and we do have a quorum now of all of the committees, and so we are thankful for those who have decided to join us this evening, and thank you, councilpersons who are here in person. I believe Ms. Honeycutt may be joining us via Zoom as she is navigating through traffic to get here. At this time, we will call the meeting of our Administrative Policy and Rules Committee to order, where Mr. Pryor is the chair.
And, on this committee, we have Henry Darby, Jenny Honeycutt, Jenny Costa Honeycutt, Herb Sass, and myself as the chair. I brought this up because I wanted to have a discussion. Right now, the way our language reads is kind of vague. There's no, oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Approval of minutes of December 25th.
Approve.
Second. Any second? I'll second.
Second, I'll second.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Madam Attorney. I brought this up because I wanted us to have a clear discussion. Our policy right now is vague, and it says we shall elect a chairman and a vice chair at our first meeting in January. But in the event of a tie, it doesn't say what's going on, and we had advice from other attorneys says you continue to serve until, council comes back and make that decision. So I wanted it to be in writing, and so that's why I want to amend the rules to say if, in fact, we don't have a clear majority, 5-4 or whatever it is, then the vice chair or the chair will continue to serve until at the following meeting if council decides to take it up, and then we elect a chair and a vice chair. So I'm open for discussion, if anybody wants to discuss it. All right, well.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
As opposed to there being ambiguity and then assuming some
Right.
sort of, custom.
Yes.
I think that there should be.
Yeah, and it would be in writing, black and white for everybody to see. So if there's no other discussion, we will take this up at our next,
On the 20th.
on the 20th. It would be on the agenda that all of, only the Rules and Policies Committee.
20.
On April 3rd. Yes, sir.
Only the Rules and Policy Committee would vote on this, and then we would send it to full council.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, that concludes my meeting, sir. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Werman.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can talk about this at whenever it comes up again. I'm not on the committee. I just wanted to ask one question that,
Yes, sir.
I don't know, maybe this is over clarifying or maybe this is assumed, but I mean, let's say no one's selected, there's no majority, you go a month or two, finally there's a majority that gets elected. Does that person then serve a year from that date, or presumably they just serve the rest of that year?
For the rest of that year until the next January, yes. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
You're saying if there's a tie vote, that there's
no election for that year then.
No, but election can occur at any time.
Okay.
Yeah, say, for instance, if we don't get it done that night, instead of staying for 3 and 4 hours, we come back, and if it's on the agenda for another meeting, then, we can vote. If that ends in a tie, we just keep on going until, we elect somebody. But until then, the chair and the vice chair serves.
All right, thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
I guess constitutionally, you'd have to do, when a new council's formed, you'd have to, yeah, okay. I'm not worried about it. I just didn't know if we needed to clarify that, but I don't think so.
Okay. Well, that concludes my meeting, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Thank
Thank you so very much, Mr. Pryor. At this time, we will have a meeting of our Human Resources Committee where Vice Chair Kowalski is the chair.
Approval of the minutes from April 4th of 2020.
Move to approve.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. The executive session, I defer to you, Chairman, to explain the
Right, so
purpose of that.
there is no executive session. I wanted to, if you would allow me, Mr. Chair, to just talk about the performance appraisal process. All of you councilpersons would have received the performance appraisal instrument via email today for the county administrator, for the clerk of council, for the auditor, for the county attorney. What we are asking is that you go through that document and give your reviews or ratings per individual by Tuesday, April 1st. We'll give you some reminders in between now and then to get all of those in. On Thursday, April 3rd, we will have an executive session, and in that executive session, we will have a presentation, a high-level presentation from our county attorney on her work as our attorney for the past 4 years and her plans for the future of the attorney's office, because this is her contract renewal year. And so at that time, we will at least receive that information. By the 24th, April 24th, we would have already compiled all of the performance evaluation scoring, and we'll have another executive session to, kind of talk about that as council, and then empower whosoever would be, the individual to deliver whatever council's final, composite evaluation of that employee would be. We have also employed the assistance of a contract attorney who is working along with us, with the attorney, as she is contemplating a renewed contract. And that contract will be, the proposed drafted contract will be floated to council on or by April 1st, is our hope. And so you'll have that. You'll be able to see that. We'll discuss it a little bit in executive session on the 3rd, but final decisions in moving forward with a vote to renew with whatever terms as agreed will take place on the 24th. And so that's the process. Just wanted to open that up for discussion. And if you did not receive the instruments, please do let me know so I can send that to you. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have several questions. One of them being, we've done this in the past. It hasn't been on the internet. It hasn't been on email. If we feel uncomfortable with that, can we print this out and deliver it?
We said that in our Wednesday meeting, I did mention to Ms. Salisbury, she will be the repository of all of the information. And we even said even tonight, maybe we would have had physical copies of it, but decided against it. So, but yeah, we'll yes, print it out. You can record your printed responses and give them to Ms. Salisbury.
Okay, and that brings up my second question, which I think you just answered. I was wondering where are they going?
They're going to Ms. Salisbury, and
Okay.
she's going to compile them. She will catalog all of the responses and the ratings, and then we'll have them for executive session discussion.
But please give my evaluation to Kristen Worcester
Right.
if you print it out.
We will. Yes, and that's, I just want to know where that was going, because that's where we've done that in the past. So thank you very much.
Same process. Yes, sir.
And I'd like for council to understand this is private information, personnel matter. This is not to be given to outside people or the press, because this is a personnel matter. You know, now, for instance, when the contract is done for the attorney, then it becomes public once it's signed by the chairman and the attorney. But until then, yes, that's privileged information. And I would ask this council, but I guess you can ask, but it's going to get leaked out somehow. But you got to remember, these people have family, and you don't want their personal information out in the hands of the news media or somebody that's going to, you know, antagonize or put things up that shouldn't be. So I just want to make mention of that this is not for outside, this is for our eyes only. And if you leak it out, shame on you. But her contract would be public after it's signed, not during the negotiation period. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moody?
You're not on the committee, but thank you for recognizing me. I just want to reiterate this is an important role that we play, and I urge us all to take the time to give comments, to give examples, strengths and weaknesses. These are our employees, and we're not doing them any favors by not giving them our true opinion, citing examples where it's strong, maybe if there's weaknesses, citing those as well. Their professional growth depends on the feedback they get from their employers, so we need to take this seriously. Let's don't run in here on April 1 and, you know, scribble it all down. Let's make sure we take the time and fill these things out.
Great comment.
Thank you, sir.
Any other discussion by anybody? A motion to adjourn the meeting for the committee?
All right, thank you so much. And so that is our process. Again, if you did not receive those links, please let us know. And if you can't print it out, we'll print it out on your behalf. We will send out reminders once we see, you know, what's coming in or not. At this time, we will we will enter our Finance Committee meeting, where I am the chair and all members of council are members of the committee. We will look at item number 1, approval of the minutes.
Move for approval.
Probably moved and seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. The ayes have it. We'll have a presentation by the Community Resource Center.
And I told Mr. Smith, no longer than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
no longer than 10 minutes.
Okay.
Mr. Smith already told me to
Okay.
call him down at the end of 10 minutes.
Yeah, because he gets
Go ahead,
excited, and very well so.
She's gonna-
He's doing such a great job.
Ready? Good afternoon, Council, Chairman. It is our honor to be here with the presentation we're going to give in regards to the Community Resource Center. Let me tell you immediately, the reason we're here, because y'all, this council, took a leap with the Community Resource Center, and we're here to report those results. And I think you'll be happy, surprised, and also overwhelmed with what we've done for the county of Charleston, South Carolina. Okay? We opened 3947, 3963 Whippoorwill Lane, and we expanded from North Charleston throughout the whole county. This is also home to our cooling. We have a cooling center, a heating center, and we took care of the school children that is homeless during these period of times. This year, 2025, I received a proclamation from the General Assembly for the work I have done, or the Community Resource Center has done in the community throughout. And I want to say that was one of the most heartwarming things that I've ever received, especially being recognized for our work. We have 15 major distributions throughout the Tri-County area. We have distributed nutritional groceries, diapers, baby needs, hygiene supplies, air conditioners, heaters, clothing, school uniforms, school supplies, and more to the members of the community. In other words, we were and still is that wraparound services that's so desperately needed in our community. And I want to say our volunteers stood tall and they made a difference. They really impact the community. Thank you, County Council. Okay? Now these are some of the numbers we're going over. 6.5 million pounds of groceries in the last 2.5 years. In other words, at $1.50 retail value, we put almost $9 million of groceries products into the county of Charleston. We've delivered 500 diapers and baby needs, over 700,000 hygiene kits. We've delivered 300 air conditioners, 250 heaters. We've distributed, they say, about 80,000 boxes of groceries to the Charleston County community. In other words, we have impact from one end to the other end. And I want to say this again. Thank you, Charleston County Council. Look at this, y'all. Impacting the community, the top areas. I don't think we missed a corner in Charleston County. We went from North Charleston, Ravenel, Adams Run, Edisto, Watermelon Island, Hughie, Mount Pleasant, Lincolnville, Latson, you name it. We were all over this county. We stood up during the pandemic as well as after the pandemic. And here again, I want to thank the County Council for taking that leap with us and making this happen. And I want to specifically thank Mr. Pryor for working with us and starting this process. Look, every corner of the county we impacted. We did the summer enrichment program throughout the county with the STEM, technology, what have you. And if I may add, we are coming forward. We've just worked with Mercedes-Benz. We're going to have a mobile auto mechanic with state-of-the-art auto mechanics. We got Neil Brothers, who's going to be working with us, and we're just getting a core curriculum for the port in which they'll be introducing schools to students to everything ports. And that's very important considering Charleston is a major, major hub in the whole, United States of America on this side as far as goods and moving them. Not everyone is geared for a 4-year college, y'all. And this is what we are talking about, impacting that community. And leading up to, I want to thank, obviously we have a bunch we can't do this by ourselves, and we couldn't do this by ourselves. And as you can see, the organizations that stood with us took that leap of faith with the Community Resource Center and how we impact this community. And I want to thank the Charleston County School District. We supplied school uniforms, we supplied hygiene products, tutoring services, and a lot of the students even had opportunity to go to the Mercedes-Benz plant, and we showed them, and Mr. Darby, we dressed your kids for success, which is what you stood for and you wanted, and we did it. So what we do, we work throughout our community to make it stand up. Okay, now our intricate partners, as you can see, Charleston County Council, the Charleston Police Department, Sheriff Department, North Charleston, City of North Charleston, Town of Lincolnville, Town of Hollywood, and we have received several accolades from the towns Hollywood, Lincolnville, and of course North Charleston. And we received several citations, if you will, from many of the schools, especially here throughout the county. Bottom line, we impact the community. And the Community Resource Center, we are community strong. And this is what we always talk about, that exceptionalism that exists in America. This is what we're about. And this council has exemplified what it is about that exceptionalism. And here again, I'm extremely proud and honored to come before y'all to make this presentation. And we want to thank you because we are moving forward. We are moving forward and we are going to build our community with y'all help. Thank you so much for allowing me to come and present the Community Resource Center.
All right, thank you so much. Any questions? Yes, Mr. Pryor.
I want to thank Mr. Smith and Ms. Michelle. She's the brain of the operation. Louis just does the talking, but he does the work. I'm telling you, for a 70-plus-year-old gentleman, he does a lot of work. And a lot of times I would, say you need to slow down. But, coming from a two-bedroom house with just regular coolers and distributing grocery on Azalea Avenue, I mean, you've come a long ways. I mean, Ms. Honeycutt, she came over several times during the summer when we first started, and she would tell you, I mean, traffic was backed up all Azalea, all the way to the Leeds Avenue with people coming in. And I told Jenny, I says, we got to do something because somebody's going to get hurt or run over getting in and out of this place. And so when this building became available, county councils was so gracious to install y'all there. And so y'all have been an impact ever since. So I want to tell you, thank you personally. During the pandemic, we were out there when others wouldn't. As I said, Ms. Honeycutt was there with us too, masks and all. And we impacted a whole lot of people, or you did. So thank you so much for what y'all do.
Thank you.
Mr. Boykin.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith, I just want to personally thank you. You've done a great deal of work in my neck of the woods, and those folks down there really appreciate and depend on you. And I see the smiles on their face, and I get the feedback of how important what you do is for them. So thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Honeycutt?
And Mr. Smith, I also wanted to say, in addition to the incredible work that you do, thank you for partnering with industries in our area, making sure that folks have access to the port and to the various industries around logistics is an incredible opportunity. So thank you so much for bringing all of those resources and connections to the community.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith, I want to thank you, sir, for following through with my students because I don't allow my students to wear hoodies and earbuds and sagging pants or things along that nature. And to go to Mercedes-Benz that they were dressed professionally, I will say thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, thank you all very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, our consent agenda, item 3.
Move for approval A
Second.
through E.
All right, properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. The ayes have it. Item 4, boards and commission.
Mr. Chairman, do we have any challenges or one per every position?
All of the boards are uncontested.
Approval A through I.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. The ayes have it. The General Services Directorate items, beginning with 5A.
Second.
Probably moved and seconded. All those in
Chairman?
favor, let it be.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Thank you. I support this wholeheartedly. Do we have an appraised value? I saw on the deck there was 2 appraisals done. If we don't want to reveal that value, we don't have to, but if it's public, I'd like to know sort of where we're thinking. Or if you don't want to say, don't say.
We'll help you out.
Thank you.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. The ayes have it. Item 6.
Move for approval.
Probably moved and seconded. Mr. Kabrowski.
Discussion. Who could speak to this or the reason for it and where the money would come from and this? Thank you. Angela?
Yeah, Ms. Craig.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for your time. Thank you for considering the request for $1.5 million in capital funds for the main library. As you know, we have, I believe, $9.5 million in the project funds from the referendum, but only $6.3 million for construction. We are working with Leo, the architect, and they are helping us centralize the children's and teen area onto the first floor, and we're going to bump the adults to the second floor to keep that delineation of ages. We also want to invest in technology and our meeting room spaces. We are coming up a bit short because, as you know, there has been an increase in labor cost, funding cost for the building, and so I approached Mr. Small to see if there was a possibility for a ask from the capital fund. The $1.5 million appears to be able to be covered from Walt's budget. I want to speak for him, but thank you for the consideration. So it will be directly for the construction of Maine.
Thank you so much.
I'll ask Mr. Smalls, where would the money come from, and would it necessitate other things not being done?
We did find one project out of the 2024 bond that didn't need the full amount. That's about half of the funding, and we could shift that without an impact. The second half of it is coming from land purchases, which we haven't identified yet. We may need to add funding to that in the future if we identify properties to pursue. There is still funding left to make some land purchases, just not as much as what we had started with.
Well, thank you. When you say land purchases which have not been identified yet, and then, and I think what you said before that, the project that we don't need it from, which is the project we don't need it from, and how do we know about land sales that haven't been identified? Is that, and I'm not trying to.
The county was working with the St. Andrews Public Service District for a joint fire EMS station. We had added some buffer into that project based on their ask. They have not changed from their original estimate, so that buffer that we added in the bond was not needed. As far as land purchases, those are for future sites that could help county better locate its services, either in the public works arena for landfill, or possibly with some expansion between the corner and our perimeter center that's across the street.
And forgive me, in layman's terms, are you saying that there's money allocated for those that will redirect towards the library, or you just anticipate in the future not having to spend money for land which we don't know about yet? And that's the savings. And forgive me for asking if it's clear, because I didn't understand the answer.
The capital improvement plan included $7 million in the 25 through 29 plan. When we borrowed the money in November of 24, we didn't borrow the whole $7 million. We're thinking that the property cost for those two might be close to half of that, but maybe not quite. They're still open, and the county does have its eye on a property right now that might become available in the near future.
All right, we have 2 or 3 additional people in the queue. Vice Chair Krabrowski will come back to you, Mr. Moody, and then Mr. Worman.
Yeah, I support this, but just a follow-up question for Mr. Smalls, I guess. The St. Andrews, that was a big deal out that way. It's only about 60% done. How sure are we that we've got the buffer there to get that? I want to make sure we don't get to the end of that project and go, oops, I want to make sure that we're comfortable with that.
We're comfortable with where we're heading now with the estimate that we got from the A&E and also the construction contractor. And Matt was talking about a buffer. We budget more than we needed. So that's part of paying for the library.
Understood. Thank you.
Increase in scope.
All right, Mr. Worman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I actually had a couple of questions for Ms. Craig, if I could. Thank you. Sorry about that, Ms. Craig. I just wanted to make sure you'd spoken about technology. What kind of technology upgrades are we looking at implementing?
Yes, as you know, in our new buildings, we have invested into the auditoriums as well as upgrading our computers. We do have a budget for that with our current referendum funding, but the auditorium, especially in downtown Charleston, has been utilized exponentially. And so we want to make sure that we can continue to have virtual meetings. We have to roll down a screen. It's very 1990s. We want to make sure that it is in tone with the rest of our buildings. And so part of the funding that we would have would go into the technology and the infrastructure for the auditorium, which is heavily used, and also upgrade those meeting spaces that are across there. They are very heavily used. They are in downtown Charleston, and we want to make sure that they're keeping in tone with the rest of our buildings.
Very good. That sounds wonderful, and I know that y'all have done a lot of great work with new libraries and with sort of upfitting some of our older libraries. I enjoy the Summy Library there has become really a great resource for folks in my neighborhood. So is this basically like a similar project is going on here at downtown?
If you've been to any of our new auditoriums, such as Wando or Summy or Baxter Patrick, that is the look that we're going for.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Ms. Honeycutt?
Yes, first off, Ms. Craig, if you don't mind staying for just a second. Thank you so much for the incredible management and investment the library has put into these projects. I know with our capital team, you guys have done some just incredible work. I also am very pleased that we'll be separating children and teens from adult. I think that is a very appropriate next step in our library layout downtown, so I appreciate that. And thank you, Mr. Kabrowski, for bringing the clarification to the numbers. Do I understand the original construction cost of 6.3, we're adding 1.5, so your current estimate is 7.8 for the downtown renovation?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I look forward to utilizing that space as well, so thank you so much.
Thank you, so do we.
Mr. Boykin?
And that is the construction cost.
Construction.
Yeah.
I just want to, state my support for this as a frequent flyer of the community meeting spaces you have at the library. It's been a great place for me to engage constituents and have meetings with the community. So I'm certainly behind this 100%. Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Mr. Sass?
Thank you, Ms. Craig. They're a great community resource.
Thank you.
Mr. Darby, anything? All right, thank you. Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Was that a nay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Ayes have it. Item 7, Clerk of Council item, naming of beach area around Fort Sumter. Madam Clerk, would you like to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, sir. Certainly. The National Park Service, Fort Sumter and Fort Moultrie National Historic Park, reached out to us by letter and asked us if we would support their naming the beach adjacent to Fort Sumter, the Fort Sumter Beach.
This is just a ministerial function.
This is just, exactly, I think in their write-up, what they described is that beach has become more of a, used more publicly recently, and people, they are needing to cite people for breaking laws, and they're having trouble citing people for breaking those laws because there is no name for this beach.
Move for approval.
Second.
Probably moved and seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. The ayes have it. Item 8, Mr. Kabrowski, Consultants.
Well, first, Chairman, thank you for bringing this up. The reason I brought this up is because we always should remember that the money we spend is other people's money. And it came up when I read in the news about Jerome Hayward and that he had been a consultant for the county, which I didn't know. And I did know that we had consultants that were hired, and it hadn't come before county council. And I'm of the opinion that any money spent by us, whether it's administratively, it all comes out of taxpayers and should be public and transparent. And one thing I think we all would agree is that we have an awesome responsibility coming up to do a referendum again for our infrastructure. And I think everything we can do between now and then to show openness, transparency with anything we do and any money spent. So it's my feeling that any money spent on consultants at any level should be made public and voted on by the council. And then I also found out in preparing for our meetings in Columbia that we had hired the former Secretary of Transportation at $12,500 a month, and it said non-competitive. I just wanted to work through the process of how is that still being spent at $12,500 a month? And are there work, how do we know what's been done? Or is that this given, or is it depending on the work done, or there statements of time done? Is that this open-ended? And I'd just like to ask some questions about that, and also about the contracts that Mr. Hayward had, who authorized those, and how much he was actually paid, and did we get receipts for work done for that? And if it was services provided, and who was the chairman at the time, who approved it, for how long was it, and what work was done for it? And if there was work done, great. If not, should that be part of what's going on in court now if we need reimbursement for that? And those are questions, I'm not sure who would be the best place to begin that.
All right, so you asked a lot of different things,
Okay.
many of which would go to different people. So which would you like?
I'd like to start with the one with the Secretary of
All right, so Mr. Thigpen.
Transportation that we hired. Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Councilman Krabowski and other council members, when I learned that the secretary was going to be retiring from the DOT, I thought what a great asset she would be to my staff in trying to navigate some of the state and federal roadblocks that we face on a daily basis in trying to develop transportation sales tax projects. I developed a non-competitive procurement. It was approved by the administrator, and we brought her on. She is providing advice to staff. She has provided advice on things like the pedestrian bridge over 17 in Maine, but she is giving staff advice. She's not reaching out to the DOT or anything of that nature, to where we hopefully will provide you some good news at the next meeting as a solution to that problem. She is also providing, there was a huge push a number of years ago about transparency at the DOT, and so she's providing us that history, and she's providing us avenues in which we can provide better transparency with the data that we have. She's also providing advice about how the DOT deals with difficult utility companies, because none of the utility companies really want to run out and spend that money at their own, out of their own pocket. So she's providing us advice on that. She's also mentoring 2 of our young female engineers on different aspects of project management. Those are the things that she's been doing. In the future, she's going to help us review our quality control plans and our procedures on how we manage projects. She's also providing us, I forgot to mention that on the Highway 41 project, she's providing us some information or some guidance on timing and rules and regs of when you acquire right-of-way versus when you get your NEPA document. She's also going to be presenting to staff on emergency operations procedures, on how the state has treated large debris missions in the past and what the best process for that is. And also she'll be doing a presentation to staff on project management in the near future.
Is the contract still ongoing? Are there limits on it, or is it just like a forever thing?
The contract is still ongoing. I believe it runs September to September, I think.
Does she come here to do that, or is it over the phone?
Yes, sir. She was actually in my office yesterday.
All right.
And I'll ask then about the person for the contracts with Mr. Hayward.
All right, so as it relates to that, I believe the administrator talked to you. He's not here today. Okay, Mr.
Everybody got a copy of what was sent out. Did you not read that, Mr. Grabowski?
I did. But
So if you read it, then you already know the answer. But, I mean, so what are you asking for? Because everybody was provided a copy of it, and everybody read it, and we knew who signed it, we knew how long it was, how much it was paid. You know, not defending anybody, I'm just asking the question, you know, maybe we can help you out. What are you
well,
looking for?
I'd like to know what work was done for being a consultant. So
I think it says in there.
Mr. Pryor, okay, so we're not going to go back and forth, but what I'm saying is that per item of concern, I'm trying to direct, the conversation to individuals who can answer the question. We did ask, and, I did have you on speakerphone during our Wednesday meeting when the administrator was present. I'm saying that based on some of the questions that you're asking, he could provide further clarification because at some point, he was the interim or acting county administrator. He's not here now. So council persons who, and Mr. Breyer, you, Mr. Darby, Mr. Sass, Mr. Moody, y'all may be able to provide us with some of the answers that Mr. Kabrowski is asking for based on work products, based on your historical knowledge of what he was doing. I know when I came here, he was, we ushered him out. And so, do you remember of anything?
I recall that the prior administrator Miller hired him, and when Mr. Tootin took over, he ended the contract.
That's right. Do you have any specific knowledge of?
Same here, but I do think that, and I read something, he was doing work in the state trying to help us secure money, funding for 526, I believe.
Did he do work for that? Was he successful? I mean, what I'm
Yes,
trying
sir,
to
we
do
got
today.
75 million from the city.
What I'm trying to do, I did have the conversation, but again, the purpose of my bringing up the consultants was for transparency. It doesn't do any good for me to know. I'm trying to make whatever it was, good or bad, should be a matter of the public, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Yes.
Only we have seen this, and I think, again, whatever we pay, whoever we hire, should be public. This is the first step for all of us, because we have the responsibility next time of having a referendum pass. So I think it's in the interest of all. The way to start is to show everything, good and bad, and put it out there for people to understand, to show that we're willing to do that. I'm not trying to point fingers or accuse anybody, but I think certainly where it came up that the gentleman was indicted about doing consulting services or whatever pursuant to that with North Charleston, and we had him here, and it was then terminated. I think it's fair enough to know what he did.
So procedurally, I expressed to the vice chairman, and certainly in our Wednesday meetings, we talked about this at length, that if then you want each contract that's being negotiated, some of these come from the administrator's purview, and there's a threshold under which he does not have to bring these things to council. So through a procurement procedural change, if we wanted to amend our procurement ordinance, that would be a way. We provided at least pathways to help you achieve the types of things, but as long as the threshold is what it is, some of these contracts will not come to council.
And just for the public to know, it doesn't do any good just for me to know. Yes, sir. Chairman, what is that level?
Mr. Talbert, are you able to help us?
The administrator can do up to $1 million on any sole source or non-compete.
Mr. Talbert, can you kind of give us an outline? And this is why I was hoping that we would invite, at some point we're working on this, all members of council and other elected officials to a procurement 101 so that we can all learn this process.
For clarification, all procurements, 100,000 and less, are approved by the procurement office and also the county administrator. When we do a public procurement and it goes over $100,000, it comes to county council for approval.
So the reality of that would become, and I think Mr. Werman and I went down this path, 5 years ago. The reality of that would be we would have to change the procurement ordinance. If then you want contracts below a certain threshold, so right now he can go up to $99,999 and not bring it to council. And so if you want it to come to us for approval, we either have to lower the threshold, because most of these contracts sort of go to a certain point, 50,000, 35, 10,000, it'll never come.
My point on that, specifically with the list that I have, the ones for consulting contracts for crisis communication, or for the one with the former Secretary of Transportation, or lobby services, I would of the opinion that I understand the ones you're talking about that have to do with construction projects, and those I would put in a different category than lobbying ones are consultants for communications or special hires. I think my preference would be any cost for those should at least be given the county council for us to pass, judgments of the public knows. And that's my point, because as I understand those are not made public or not having to go to county council.
So again-
Because I didn't know about the one for the Secretary of Transportation or the other one. So that's what I would hope that we could bring that to council for public notice so people know how we're spending the money.
Again, Mr. Kabrowski, I would recommend, well, I'm not
Okay.
recommending, I would say that if you are supposing a procurement ordinance change, if we have enough members of council that would support that, then let's put that on an agenda and have a discussion about it. I know we put it on there like 5 years ago and it went nowhere. And so we're revisiting the same thing. And then it seemed like at one point it was increased, in certain other areas or categories as related to some of the, bless you, higher budget construction areas. Seemed like it was, the limit was increased so that it would not, come back to us, especially when there were emergency circumstances like building all the buildings that we're building right now. And so if that's something that you wish to do, I think that is the remedy.
It would
if
be
you
what
want
I-
every single,
It would be the wish that I want to do. So I just asked, is this the time to do it?
well, we would have to get
Okay.
support, and we would have to put it on an administrative policies and rules committee agenda in order to amend that
All right,
ordinance.
thank you for the guidance. And the other thing I'd like to just to make public, because it hasn't been, whatever the contracts were with Mr. Hayward, and that I would hope we can agree that those should be made public, so that everything that was done, that it's a matter of public information, again, to try to show complete openness so that when we go again to the public, we can show complete openness and transparency.
Madam Clerk, was this attached to today's,
Yes, sir, it was included in your agenda
Okay.
packet.
right, so
So
then it's
now this
the
would be
public.
public. All
Yes,
right,
sir.
thank you for the guidance
Yes,
on
sir.
that.
All right, Mr. Werman?
Well, yeah, maybe for the benefit of the public, I'll start with Mr. Tolbert. I think you made a very important statement when you sort of opened saying that, below that threshold, it is not just Mr. Tootin's, not that I would worry about his whims necessarily, but I'm just saying there is a check even in the situation where it doesn't go before council, and that check is in fact you. Is that
Yes.
correct, Mr. Tolbert?
Yes, sir.
You and
I'll
your
report.
office, I should say.
Thank you.
And there are statutes. You
There are
just can't.
standards by which y'all use to evaluate and.
Absolutely. We just don't award to one firm, and a lot of it, we do have public procurements, we do get quotes. So therefore, all of our information is made to the public if they want to see what we've done over the year, over the past week. There are non-competitive and sole source procurements. Sole source procurements mean there's only one vendor out there that can provide that particular product or service. So it is advantageous for us to go to the county administrator, to get the county administrator to sign off on it so we can process and move the procurement along faster. There are small procurements we'll need sometimes, Mr. Smalls and also Mr. Thinkpen's area, where we need a consultant to come in, evaluate a project for us. It's very low cost and matter. They'll draw up a set of plans for us and say, look, this is what you need to do to fix this problem. Some of those contracts, sometimes, I believe, Mr. Smalls, don't even exceed $7,500. But we do go out and get those because it's quick, it's fast. If we are waiting to come back to council, sometimes that will take up to 2 months, and we have a serious problem, and it could cause even more problems and cost us more money. So there's an expedience in it, and that's every procurement throughout America, to include the federal and state government, as well as local municipalities. So when we say consulting contracts, sometimes the consultant is actually doing some strategic work for us to get something done as quickly as possible.
All right.
I appreciate that. I'll look forward to a discussion on a rules and policies agenda, but I did while we were here and while the discussion was going on, and for the benefit of the public, like we were sort of saying, I did want to make sure that that was understood out there, that there's not a policy that anything under $1 million is a one-person decision in Charleston County.
All right, so April 3rd, we may revisit that discussion and see where that goes.
Mr. Darby.
Okay, Mr. Darby, I'm sorry.
I would not want to litigate the affairs of Mr. Hayward, but if he were hired by Ms. Miller, I would not want to impugn her integrity because I know that she would not do anything undercover. And if we are going to ask for consultants and whatnot, Ms. Mr. Gabrowski, I hope that we would get all the consultants that the county has had as opposed to just the
Well, that
one,
would
sir.
be the point. That's what I asked for, all the consultants, is what I asked them to provide this so that would all be public.
Oh, yes, sir. I think that would be public information, sir.
Thank you.
All right, so thank you so.
Didn't mean to impugn Mrs.
No, by no means.
Thank you all so much. We will revisit the conversation on April 3rd, but that would be, the way to do it, by lowering the threshold if that's the desire of council. And that way, every small procurement contract will come, and as, And as Mr. Talbert just said, sometimes that would slow their processes up, yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to try to give y'all a little bit of history on why we are where we at. When Mr. Sass might have been here, and I know Mr. Darby was, when Mr. Scott was the chairman at that time, all these things were being brought before council. All these things were delaying projects and dragging out. And so council at that time, in their wisdom, says, okay, we're going to send these to the administrator, let the administrator make a decision up to a certain amount, and then it comes, if council wants to, ask, but we got to remember, we're under an administrative form of government. We're not under county council running the government. And if we're going to start and go down this road, we're going to start micromanaging, and this whole thing is going to blow up. We're not in the micromanaging business. We must understand we're in an administrative form of government, not a supervisor form of government, or not a strong council, weak administrator. Now, everybody got a right to ask questions. I don't have a problem with that. But, lowering the threshold on these things and coming back here every meeting, or every other meeting for us to do this, it's time consuming. I've done it before, and Ms. Salisbury can tell you the same thing too. It was meeting after meeting after meeting. And so I just want the council to be careful when they say they want everything to come back to this council. We hire an administrator, and if we don't trust our administrator to make certain decisions, then we need to look for another administrator. Because this is an administrative form of government, not county council telling the administrator. Our job is to set policy and see that they carry out our policy, not look over their shoulder every day and tell them what they should and shouldn't be doing.
All
That's
right.
just my take on that, Mr. Administrator.
Okay.
I mean, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much. We do appreciate your perspective. Anyone else? So we may revisit that on April 3rd. At this time, we're going to go right into item 9. Madam Attorney, if you would walk us through this particular item.
Sure, Mr. Chairman. This is an appeal, 3 appeals technically. It's 3 parcels or 3 projects that were presented by Grantham Homes at the Charleston Historic Preservation Commission. Pursuant to those presentations, the applicant was not granted a historic certificate. It is the recommendation of my office that this council issue a historic certificate in lieu of the information that we've learned during the appeal process.
All right.
Attorney's recommendation.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Okay, Mr. Moody.
Thank you. I support this as well, and I read the minutes from that meeting, and there's some troubling stuff in there, and I'm glad to find out that we've had training for some of these members. One member even said in there that said something to the extent of the Planning Commission got it wrong. Really? Stay in your lane. This is out of control because we have had to settle more projects in the first 3 to 6 months because of really bad errors by some of these boards and commissions. And that's we have them to handle those things. And so I'm thrilled to know that you did some training out there. Hopefully these things will go away and stop coming to us.
Yes, sir. Just for council's benefit, to reference what Mr. Moody is, the legal department in conjunction with Joel and his staff, who usually provide the training, made sure that we refine the training that was given earlier this week to the Historic Commission to include 2 new members who had just been put on the commission in January.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Kurowski.
I would, we're speaking in public, and some of the issues from this were comments, and Mr. Moody alluded to, that maybe individual members made during the debate from the Historic Preservation Commission. And I would reference our own, when we defended the lawsuit brought by the Coastal Conservation League, our own attorney we wrote in our own words, plaintiffs purport to rely on the statements of individual council members made during political debate to support their claims. However, statements of individual members, even if they were relevant, which they were not, are not binding on the council as a body. And then the South Carolina Court of Appeals has commented on a party's inability to use the statements of a single member to impeach the council as a whole. So if some members of the Preservation Committee made some comments by our own standards that we have done in court, that we can't use that to discount what they did. So I don't see intemperate comments, if they were made, as a basis to undo their decision when it was our position in defending the sales tax referendum to take the exact opposite side as a legal opinion.
All right.
So I would uphold what they did.
All right. Anyone else? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposers, nay.
No.
Thank you so much. How many? Nay? Who said nay?
I did.
Okay, 2. Okay, thank you so much. The ayes have it. At this time, Ms. Salisbury, we're going to go into our special county council meeting, the Freedom of Information Act.
In compliance with the Freedom of Information Act, notice of meeting was posted and agendas were distributed to news media and persons requesting notification.
All right, item 2A, implementation of oath of office for boards and commissions. Ms. Salisbury, presentation.
Yes, sir. Okay. So I'm here today to explain to you how my office would intend to implement County Council's new policy regarding the oath of office for its boards and commissions. You'll remember at your last meeting, you approved a motion by Mrs. Honeycutt that all boards and commissions of Charleston County must say the oath in conformance with the Attorney General's opinion. And so the purpose of my presentation today is to make sure my vision aligns with your intent and to establish a thoughtful and deliberate process to implement this new policy. So immediately after council took its vote, I realized that I needed more clarity than was included in the motion to know how to implement this policy. And some of my initial questions are here on the slide. And after working on this implementation process, I've answered most of my questions, but I still have some lingering concerns that I need addressed. First, Charleston County is setting a precedent, and because this is new territory for county boards and commissions, and understanding that this new policy could likely trickle out to other counties, my peers across the state are looking to me to set the bar for how this policy will be implemented. And while we're used to being leaders in the state of South Carolina, there's pressure for me to get this right, but not a lot of guidance on how to do it. Next, I need assurance as to which office is responsible for filing the oath form. As you know, as elected officials, you file your oath with the Secretary of State. So I reached out to the Secretary of State's office to determine how our appointees should go about filing their oaths. The Secretary of State's office says that they are unsure if they are responsible for filing these oaths, and they suggested that I should seek further guidance from the Attorney General's office. And then finally, since the Secretary of State will not accept the oath forms without further guidance from the Attorney General, I am prepared to file the forms in my office, but this creates a new record that Charleston County has never been responsible for maintaining in the past. So I would need guidance from the South Carolina Department of Archives and History to determine the retention period for these new records. So the motion you approved referenced all boards and commissions, and this is a list of the 25 boards and commissions that are appointed or recommended by County Council. I got further clarification from Mrs. Honeycutt that she did not intend for this motion to apply to all boards and commissions, but only those that are considered offices. So this is a list of the boards and commissions that I believe this new policy would apply to. And these boards are considered offices for the purpose of dual office holding and are exclusively appointed by Charleston County Council. Those include the Board of Assessment Appeals, the Board of Zoning Appeals, the Business License User Fee Appeals Board, the Construction Board of Adjustment Appeals, Historic Preservation Commission, Housing and Redevelopment Authority, Library Board of Trustees, Planning Commission, Procurement Appeals Board, Set-Off Debt Collection Officer, and Weed and Trash Abatement Hearing Board. These are the boards and commissions that I do not think this policy applies for. And these are boards that are recommended by county council but appointed by other officials, or advisory committees, or other boards that have statutory exemptions from being a dual office holding position. So having determined which boards must comply with this new policy, this is how I intend to implement the process.
Mr. Chairman? Yes. I'd ask a question. I mean, sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
Could you go back to slide 3 briefly?
Tell me when to stop.
Keep going. That one.
Okay.
So why is our clerk of council having to figure this out? I heard her say she's gotten no guidance from the Secretary of State. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
No guidance from the Attorney General.
Right.
Everybody's looking to you. I heard you say you believe once or twice, and I heard you say I do not think. So, Mr. Chairman, as a member of the prevailing side of the vote regarding the oath, and in light of the holes and challenges the clerk has presented, I'd like to make a motion to reconsider the prior action of this council regarding the oath.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded. All right, Mr. Kabrowski.
I would say that the motion that passed was to make them do the oath. The Attorney General set forth in clear, concise language what the oath was to be. So I don't see any issue in any way, shape, or form. The motion was to have them do the oath, and we can figure out the other stuff after they take the oath. And I would remind the motion I heard from Mr. Moody now, when we voted last week, the law was now in county council to make our boards and commissions take an oath to the United States Constitution and the state constitution. So what you're doing now would be effectively something very different. You'd be removing our boards and commissions from taking oaths to the Constitution, to the state and the federal government and their federal constitution. That's what in effect you're doing now. You're removing something that we voted on, that is the law of the county council, and you're changing that to remove and take away the making them take the oath. I just want to make that clear.
Mr. Moody?
That's an absolute lie. What I'm doing is asking for a motion to reconsider. There could be another motion coming up after that. Nobody's against taking the oath. I have made no such statement.
All right.
All I'm asking is to reconsider the vote that was taken the other night. I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm not saying anything. I'm just
Nobody
asking
said
to
you were
reconsider.
Okay, so it's a motion.
It's my next motion.
It's a motion to reconsider. Anyone else? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay.
Nay.
How many nays? 1, 2. Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we defer the implementation of the oath policy until clear guidance and resolution of outstanding issues provided by the clerk have been given to us by the General Assembly.
Second.
Probably moved and seconded. All those in
Discussion?
favor? All those in-
Discussion?
Is this a motion for discussion? Okay. All right, Mr. Kabrowski.
I say we had this, and I'm not impugning your motives. I'm just saying the effect of what we are doing now. I want to make it absolutely clear that we voted last week to require the boards and commissions, as the Attorney General said as a matter of law, that we had to do. So as of now, before tonight, all of our boards and commissions in Charleston County are required to take an oath to the Constitution of the state and the U.S. Constitution. And what you did now by Mr. Moody and Mr. Boykin and your motion is you're undoing that. So let's make it clear that what your vote is tonight is to undo what is now required before the meeting tonight. You're changing that, and that's the effect of what you're doing.
All right. Mr. Boykin?
I don't know if you're listening, but I hope you are. I think Mr. Moody was absolutely clear in the deferring the requirement, not saying they don't have to take it. We are simply deferring when they have to take it. The state made this mess. There are 317 counties and municipalities in this state. How many boards and commissions do you think they have? Why are we going to put our clerk in the position to decide for this state what is to be done? The legislature made the mess. They need to clean it up. Apparently didn't bother them for 50 years. They don't get to pick on Charleston County and make this our problem. So I fully support you, Mr. Moody.
All right, Ms. Honeycutt?
Are we putting a time limit on the delayed implementation? Are we going to get answers to these questions? What is the plan beyond?
Moody, did you put a time limit?
No, I did not. My motion was until clear guidance and resolution of the outstanding issues the clerk has provided us or provided by the General Assembly. So if they do it next month, we take the oath and we do the process. If they do it in 10 years, we do it in 10 years. It's totally their call.
All right, Mr. Moody, you have the floor again, since I
Thank you.
was coming to you next.
Yeah, thank you for letting me answer the question and go there. And it's another misstatement trying to put words in our mouth. And I appreciate the energy of both parties, but this is a case of Charleston County trying to fix a statewide problem. As I stated previously, I'm fully in favor of elected officials taking the oath, but this is about the process. I said when we first started that, what makes us so special? We can look at legal opinions all day long, and I think we should take the oath, but it's up to state leaders to fix this problem and establish clear standards for all 46 counties and their boards and commissions. There's no difference between any county in the state. So we've got to get out of this. We've got to get back in the business of building roads, cleaning ditches, and get away from unnecessary chaos.
All right, Mr. Kabrowski?
I would say that you just have created chaos. We have heard from the library board that they were happy. They just wanted direction. If we want them to take the oath, they'd be happy to do it. And we settled it down. All you're doing now is recreating chaos. Everybody, I would hope, has moved on. They said that they wanted to do it if we told them to. We gave them direction. And again, what you're doing, you're removing that direction. And you're saying, the last time I looked, I'm a member and the rest of us are members of the Charleston County Council. We're not members of the State Council. We're not members of the legislature. We have an opinion from the Attorney General saying in very simple, direct language, we're required to do it. And he said to do it, and we voted to do it. And now you're undoing what you voted first not to do, then to do. Now you're doing not to do again. So there's been 4 or 5 different votes. That is chaos. It's a simple demand to do it, and we should just get on with it.
Mr. Boykin?
Mr. Kabrowski, all the state has to do is codify this requirement by statute that is in plain reading, covers all this. I don't know where you can't understand that the entire state of South Carolina is bound to this, not just us. They need to give us clear guidance and direction. They can do it by passing a law. And in fact, my understanding is there's going to be one bill presented by Representative Teeple if it hadn't already been submitted. So let them do their job, and then we can follow.
Ms. Honeycutt?
Yeah, so just a few things on this. It sounds like we're waiting for the legislation to occur, not just for Ms. Salisbury's questions to be answered.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay. Secondly, I want to make sure that we are advising all of our board and commission members of their roles and responsibilities. The reason we put folks in these positions is to manage very important public affairs. And they may not realize it, and actually up until this, I did not realize it, but they are public members under the State Ethics Act. They have duties and responsibilities under state law, aside from taking this oath. And so it is very important they understand that what they are doing as representatives in these appointed bodies is extraordinarily important. I do believe that the law as it currently stands, and the reason I have been on this side of the position the entire time, is that we do need to figure out a process for this. But I agree that we need some further guidance after all of these questions. I think that guidance could be gained from clarification from the Attorney General on who needs to maintain these records. But to Mr. Grabowski's point, saying the oath isn't just raising your hand and saying the oath. it comes with it additional filing responsibilities, documentations we have to maintain in a historic records database to ensure that all of the people that have taken the oath are properly carrying out their functions. So to implement this is not just a willy-nilly task. And to the extent it applies to every municipality and county in the state and every board and commission thereunder who may hold dual office positions, that whole dual office analysis also has to do with being a public member or a public official. They are not public officials at the county level, but they are public members. It is very important. And so while I cannot support the motion to defer on the basis of waiting for legislation, I do understand the complexities. And Ms. Salisbury, I want to say thank you, because since last Tuesday, I know that you have been working furiously. You've probably talked to as many people as I have, including the Attorney General himself, trying to get some clarification on this. So I do appreciate the efficiency, the speed, and intention that you have worked to try to put this together.
All right, thank you so very much. We're going to have a roll call vote, so we'll give Ms. Salisbury an opportunity to come back up as you all think through how you're going to vote on this. Yes, Mr. Darby.
For those of us who voted against the measure the last time, if one were to vote in favor of Mr. Moody, are we not in substance saying that we support the measure of taking an oath to the Constitution?
Is that addressed to anybody or just?
Anybody, I mean, because.
Well, yes.
Well, so again, let me recognize you. If you wish to be recognized, I thought the question was rhetorical, right? And so, Mr. Pryor, you wish to respond?
Yes, if he wants an answer, I would say yes. I think all Mr. Moody is saying, let the General Assembly make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't think nobody on this council has ever said nobody should take an oath. But what is happening here is we involving 45 other counties that never had to take this measure. Now they're being dragged in because of an action that was taken by this council a week ago Tuesday. So to answer your question, yes, I don't think nobody is in favor of not having them take the oath. It's just a matter of clarification. Are they required? For 50 years, they weren't required,
Okay.
so why now?
All right.
I would think, if I may still have my.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Boykin has said something, I can't think of what word to describe it. Something to the point that this one clerk will be setting the standard for the entire state. That is a very heavy load to carry. And I admire you, at least in your attempt, ma'am. I'm surprised you still have hair on your head.
Yes.
And I'm pulling out.
Speak at the mic, Mr. Darby.
I apologize. I'm through. Thank you.
Mr. Pryor, don't forget those 271 municipalities are going to have to do it as well, and all their boards and commissions. And no one here is saying we don't believe in oath. We've all taken it, many of us, many times, and are under multiple oaths at present. Mm-hmm. We're only saying that our clerk shouldn't bear the responsibility for the entire state of South Carolina to set precedent. And the Secretary of State's office won't even take the oaths to file them. So there's a disconnect here. There's probably other things along the ethics laws that need to be cleaned up and tidied up by the legislature to pull all this together and make it function properly. And it's not for us to figure that out.
All right, Mr. Kabrowski.
I just want to say again that we voted last week to require the library board and all the other boards and commissions to take an oath to the state and U.S. Constitution. We settled the matter. They said they were happy to take it. They wanted our direction. They gave us the direction. We gave it to them, and everything is settled down. What you're doing now is inviting chaos. You voted first, you were against it, and then you're for it, then you're against it, now you're for it again, and I guess you're against it again. And now we're creating the chaos. And we're not on a statewide county council. We got a direction from the Attorney General saying it's the law that required it, and we're doing what we're supposed to do as county members facing the issue. I'm not voting for any other county. We're voting for Charleston County, and there's no precedent. We're telling them to do, our boards and commissions to do what the law requires. If they want to follow the law or not in other counties, we don't control what they do. They make their own decisions. We have no power over what other counties do. And I just asked to not undo, because again, in no uncertain terms, before tonight, there was a requirement to take the oath, and you're taking that away now. by what
All right,
we're
Mr.
doing.
Sass?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Kaprowski, I think it is very clear, I think it's very clear that this board believes that everybody should take the oath, but I think that we need to do it in this manner so that it's properly designed and set up for the entire state. And it's a daunting task, and I salute Ms. Salisbury for an excellent job of what she's done to get us to this point. But I think that we're about as far as we can go, and we need further direction. And I'm with you on this. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Moody?
Yeah, I still don't think Mr. Kabrowski's hearing this, but I want to thank Mrs. Salisbury as well. She's done their work for them, really. She's kind of laid a roadmap out for the legislature to follow. And, you know, as the great philosopher Costanza once said, it's not a lie if you believe it.
All right, Mr. Boykin?
Mr. Kabrowski, you're right. There is chaos, but it certainly wasn't started by this council.
All right. Roll call vote at this time.
Yes, sir. Mr. Boykin?
Aye.
Mr. Darby?
Aye.
Mrs. Honeycutt?
Nay.
Mr. Kabrowski?
Nay.
Mr. Moody?
Aye.
Mr. Pryor?
Yes.
Mr. Sass?
Aye.
Mr. Werman? Mr. Middleton?
Aye.
The motion passes with 7 ayes and 2 nays.
All right, thank you so very much. Meeting adjourned.
Sorry.
I don't know why y'all did that.
That's right. If that had happened, we wouldn't have this.